Hello, creative people. Welcome back to another episode of Busy Beader. If you don't know me already, or if you forgot my name, I'm Caitlin. I am so glad that you're here with me today because we are doing a very fun, unique craft. We've never done anything like it here on Busy Beader before. I'm so excited. I'm actually not quite sure what to call it. I think I settled on calling it a earring hair wrap. I know that sounds pretty confusing, so here's a picture of what it's going to look like. Basically, it's ear cuffs that have chains that wrap around the back of your hair. So it's kind of a hair decoration mostly, but you could wear it for lots of different things. I imagine that this would be a fun like Renaissance fair cosplay thing. If you went a different direction, or if the colors I'm using today matched your theme, it would be a beautiful hair accessory for a wedding. So something along those lines in here, but I'm so excited to show you how to make this today. But before we jump into all the good stuff, a couple of things to go over. The first being that my sponsor, Fire Mountain Gems and Beads, now has a discount code for my viewers. That discount code is going to be right here. And it's also going to be in the description box below, next to the link to my sponsor's website. That is a code that will get you $5 off your purchase, and you apply that at checkout. And that is a thank you for being one of my viewers and for being a Fire Mountain Gems and Beads customer. So be sure to take advantage of that discount code. And also, don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. When you do, you get to join our growing crafting community. I love getting to be a part of that community and facilitate a space where everyone can unlock their creativity together. Okay, let's jump into this craft today. Step 1. As always, the first thing we have to do is gather our supplies and materials. Today we need quite a few things. First, starting with chain. And you are going to need a lot of chain for this project because we are wrapping the chain around the back of our head. So I would really recommend getting one of these big spools of chain. Or if you're using scrap chain, just do your very best with it. But I would really recommend getting a lot of chain. Then you're going to need eye pins, silver eye pins. You're going to need jumper rings. You're going to need a whole bunch of fun stuff. I'll go over that in just one second. The tools you're going to need are a pair of clippers and 2 sets of pliers to open and close jump rings. Okay, now for the fun bits. You are going to need these ear cuffs, and they have this beautiful iridescent oil spill kind of bead on the little ends here. And so I've chosen a variety of beads that complement that bead. And so we have some charms here. We've got a little moon charm, a little eye charm, a little hand charm. Then we've got these drops that are the same iridescent kind of color as these here on our ear cuffs. I've got some little seed beads that are the same, and we are going to put these together into these. So I wanted to give you a little preview. That's what these guys are down here. So I'm going to show you how to make each of these individually, don't worry, but this is what we're going to be adding to our chains that are wrapping around our head with our ear cuffs. So once you've gathered all of your supplies and materials, meet me back here and we will get started. Step 2. The very first thing we're going to do is make all of our little drop friends. First one that we're going to make is going to be our little hand here. So you're going to take one of your eye pins here, and we are going to thread 3 of our little seed beads onto this eye pin here. So then we are going to go up here with our round nose pliers, and we are going to put a 45 to 90 degree angle in the wire. We're going to come through and we are going to clip off that excess wire, leaving ourselves just enough to make another loop. We're going to take our pliers and we are going to spin them all the way back around to make our little loop here. And then what we're going to go ahead and do is open up that loop. We are going to find our little hand bead. We're going to slide that onto our loop. And once we have that hand on that little loop, we are going to go back through with our pliers and close that loop up. And this is a process that you are going to complete. You're going to do the exact same thing for the moon. On the moon, I just put 4 little seed beads. So go ahead and repeat that process for the moon. And then I will show you how to do our little Buddha head here. All right, now for this one, the process is fairly similar, but just a little different. So first, we are going to take an eye pin, and we are going to put 1 seed bead on the eye pin. Then we're going to put our little Buddha head, and then we're going to put 1 more seed bead. And then we are going to finish that the same way we finished the other one. So we are going to take our round nose pliers, make a 45 to 90 degree angle, cut off the extra, go back up to the top our round nose pliers and spin them back around to make our loop. Very good. Now, however, we need to make the piece that connects to our little drop here. We are also going to take an eye pin, and what we're going to do is thread the eye pin through the bead, and we're going to leave a little gap here, and we are going to push the head of the eye pin up towards the apex. We've done something similar to this with little glass leaves on Busy Beader before, so you might recognize this technique. But then you are going to grab the other side of your wire, you're going to come around, and you're going to wrap it around the bottom of the loop on your eye pin. Once you've wrapped that around the bottom of that a couple times, you can take your clippers and clip off that excess. And one last thing you want to do before you move on is make sure to tuck that pointy end. So just grab your pliers and give that little end a squeeze. That way it doesn't cut anybody. Now, I'm going to come over here and I'm just going to open this up just a little bit more. And then we are going to slide it through the bottom loop on our little Buddha head drop that we just made. And then you are going to close. And just like that, you have another one of these cute little drops. And for this eye, I'm thinking that I just want to connect it directly to, I don't want to add any other beads or anything else like that. So that little guy's just going to be by himself. He doesn't need anything done to him. And finally, this beautiful obsidian oil spill looking drop here, we need to make that. So what you're going to do is grab an eye pin, and we are going to thread our bead through, our smaller bead here, and we're going to let that sit up by the top of the eye pin. And then we are going to thread our big drop through and onto here. And we're going to do something very similar to what we just did to the smaller drop, but you're going to leave yourself extra space because of that bead there. So you're going to push this bead up and to the apex of where it is. And then I'm going to go through, and did you see I just put a little bit of pressure right there, and I bent that out like that. Now we are going to take the other end of our wire here. We are going to bring that around, and I am going to wrap it just on the underside of this bead here. And after I've wrapped it a couple times, going to clip off the excess, take my other plier and tuck that end, that way it can't scratch anybody. But there it is. Once you have gathered all of your bits and pieces here, we're gonna move them up here, leave them in a little pile inside. Step 3. Okay, now the next thing that we need to do is get our chain prepared. And I know here on Busy Beader, I tend to be more loosey-goosey. I don't use exact measurements. I just, measure that stuff with my heart. But I think this is a project where measurements are really going to be helpful. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to unspool some of this wire, and I am going to drape it along the back of my head at the longest drape that I would want. So this is something that you will probably maybe want to grab a friend or use a mirror for, but you want to essentially take it from, so this is going to sit at the bottom of your ear. So the bottom of your earlobes, just grab one side of the chain and the other, kind of loosely measure it. You want it to be about as long as your hair is. So as you can see from the intro, I cut my hair recently, so my hair's a little bit shorter. So when I measured this and tested it, I thought that about 20 inches was going to be the right number for me. So I would round up if I were you, use a ruler, and so I think I was sitting at like 19 and a quarter or something, so I just went ahead and rounded up to 20. So you're going to measure that out, your first one, for about as long as your hair is, and then you are going to take your clippers and you are going to cut at that point, and this is going to be your longest one. So I am an English major. I am not good at math, but today we're going to need to do just a little bit of math. But before we can get the numbers to do our math, we also need our shortest. So the chain for this top one, you're going to want to do similar measurements to what you did for the long one, except for you want this one to really hug across the back of your head. You don't want it to be so tight that it feels weird when you move, but you want it to really lay across the back of your head. For me, that was roughly 10 inches. And like I said, I am rounding for this. So once you've figured out your shortest and your longest, and I thought the easiest way would be to show you with a little whiteboard here. So if my top one here is going to be 10 inches and my bottom one here is going to be 20, we've got 5 left in the middle. So I'm gonna go to that very middle one, and obviously the middle between 10 and 20 is 15. That's simple. Okay, but now we have 2 more in between of each of these, and those are not even numbers. So you can kind of do this whichever way you please. I decided that it would be best to go by 2s. So I'm gonna do a 12-inch chain, and then I'm gonna do a 14-inch chain, and that leaves 2 inches here, and then 1 inch here. So to make it seem even, I'm gonna make sure to do 1 inch in between this one and this one. So this is gonna be 16, this one's gonna be 18, and then that leaves 2 inches here and here, in between there and there. So that is kind of how I decided to break it down. You can break yours down however which way you wanna do it. If you don't wanna do 7 chains, that's okay too. You can just stick with 3 chains, and these are behind your ear, so nobody's gonna know if you don't use the loops, but you could also just like dangle something off of them, that's fine as well. So now what I'm going to do, I already have my 10-inch chain cut, and I have my 20-inch chain cut, but now I need to cut a 12-inch, a 14-inch, 15-inch, 16-inch, and 18-inch chain. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. I recommend getting a piece of paper, doing what I did. That's the easiest way to do it in my opinion. Break it all down, figure out what you want, how you want it, and then cut all your chain. And once you've done that, meet me back here and I'll show you what to do next.
Step 4.
All right, once you have all of your chains cut and all of your pieces made, it's time to assemble everything. I went ahead and as I was cutting my chains, made sure to lay them out so that hopefully they're all in the right order. So I'm just gonna start from the top and work my way down. So what you're gonna do is you're going to take one of your jump rings here, and you are going to open it up. You are going to attach one end of your chain to the top of the earring loop, and you are going to close. Okay, now I'm going to take another jump ring, open that up. I'm going to go to the other end of my chain here, and we are going to attach that to the chain, and then we're going to attach that to the top loop of our earring, and then we are going to close. And just make sure on all of these as you close your jump rings that your connection is secure. That way the chains won't wiggle out. All right, so you are going to do this 6 more times rather for each of your chains, working down from your shortest chain all the way to your longest chain. We're going to do this whole process here with me, and then I will show you how to add our shiny bits and baubles. You have all of your chains connected. It's going to look something like this. So pretty. And you can just leave it exactly as it is if that's what you like. If you just want a very simple, elegant looking hair piece, then you're done. But if you want to add a little bit more, you're going to use these components that we created earlier. So my thought is that these 2 are going to go on the ends here. So I'm going to take a jump ring, I'm going to open it up, and I'm going to set these little crystals at the lowest loop on our earrings as a way to kind of make them look like earrings. They're going to dangle off of the bottom. You could also connect these directly to the jump ring that the chain is attached to if you'd like. I'm just going to connect it to a different jump ring. That way I feel like it's just going to be a little less complicated, because sometimes the chains can get tangly and having other things attached to them just makes it too much. So now with all of the other little bits and baubles that we made here, these fun drops, you can either attach them to other loops on the ear cuff. Just be aware, the cuff sits behind your ear, so they do need to dangle pretty significantly for somebody to see them. My thought on these fun little bits was that they would go on the chains so that they would hang and be a part of the hair piece. So I had to reposition a little bit here. I have 8 of these little drops that we made, and I have 7 chains. So I am going to not use one of them and have 1 charm per chain. So I'm just gonna kind of place these the way that I feel like they might look good. And I'm just gonna play with this until I get it to where I want it, and I'll decide which one of these is only gonna be one, is not gonna be in a pair. So for me, it looks like this other eye charm is going to be the odd man out, but you could also you could do more than one per chain. You could do a lot of them. You could do none of them. You can really decide what you want. This is kind of what I'm feeling like. So what I'm going to do very carefully, so as not to disturb this whole thing that I have laid out, is I'm going to take jump rings and I'm going to open one up. And then I'm going to go to my little charm and I'm going to hook my charm, and then I'm going to hook it onto the chain. And then I'm going to very carefully against my mat so that I don't move my chain, close those jump rings. And I'm going to repeat that process, adding all of my charms onto the spots on the chain that I have decided that they should go. So I want you to do the same, place everything, attach everything, and then meet me back here. All right, once you have attached all of your charms, this is kind of what it will look like. Be mindful about where you place your charms because it'll affect the way that it hangs because of the weight of the charms. So I've tried to make it decently even across the board. Obviously, if you just choose the middle, then it'll all hang straight. But yeah, that's another thing to consider as you decide where to put your charms. But once you have added your charms, you are all done with this beautiful and fun earring cuff hair wrap. There you go. You have a beautiful completed hair wrap. I hope that you had fun getting to make it with me. Lots of chain and beads and tangles, and you gotta wrangle it all, but it was a very good time nonetheless. I hope that you enjoyed it as well. If you did, please be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe. That way you can join us all the time and be a part of this crafting community that we're building here together. And don't forget to check out my sponsor and take advantage of that discount code that they're offering for my viewers. I hope that you have a wonderful, fun week, and I will see you in the next one.